Number 5, Ratatouille. 2007 was also one of the greatest years for animated movies. I already reviewed the underrated Surf's Up this year, and I also reviewed the Simpsons movie on DeviantArt in 2020. But now we're talking about the movie that I rank between those movies among all that year's animated movies. Brad Bird has improved with this film, cooking up a delicious movie with a spicy script and saucy visuals. From the flavorous story about a rat becoming a chef, to the tasty dynamic between that rat and a human chef, to the addicting comedy and heart, to the garnished presentation in the animation, it is an all-around gourmet dish in form of a movie. When it comes to these cartoon foods, Ratatouille is one of the first things to cook up in your head. The critic is also relatable and a great role model, especially for internet reviewers like myself. Like he says it best, not everyone can be a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere. Somehow, by the time I'm writing this, I finished a review of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and I can't find anything else to say about this movie. Maybe it's just an old recipe from 15 years ago, but it's still a great recipe nonetheless. Number 4, Toy Story 2. This is the last sequel in the ranking overall, and there's a reason why this is the best one. Not just the best Toy Story movie, not just the best Pixar sequel, but almost the best animated sequel of all time. This film was originally meant to be straight to DVD, but Disney wanted a theatrical release of the original cut, so Pixar said no and remade the whole movie in just 9 months. That's right, this version of Toy Story 2 took only 9 months to make, and it still turned out a masterpiece. It's one of those rare sequels to outshine the original, and with good reason. The story here is much more original and engaging, the comedy is much more effective, the heart is much stronger, the animation is much more immersive and detailed, the characters are much more likable, the voice acting is much more genuine and real, and the movie is just much more like a masterpiece than critics made the first film out to be. When it comes to this franchise, it's like choosing between actual toys, and this is my favorite toy. Number 3, Inside Out. In the 2000s, Pixar has always made movies that play with the emotions in our head, but in the mid-2010s, they literally made that the focus. This is the closest 2010s movie the studio can get to classic Pixar, and it almost brought them back to original features. When there were other toon movies that tells you it's better to be happy and only happy, this movie shows us that it's okay to have fear, disgust, anger and to cry, with some emotionally great writing that paints a story of change and grief over memories, cartoony CGI that's done right for the imagination, some of the most memorable comedy from an animated feature, and some of the most likable characters from an animated feature also. May I bring up that this is the movie that a certain YouTuber's named after? His channel is a roller coaster, just like his favorite movie. How ironic is that? Before this movie, Pete Docter was offered to direct a real rip-off Wing Amphibians, but he said hell no to that and made this masterpiece instead. I would still like the character of Newt to be revived. You know, the same way Chip in Dale Rescue Rangers brought back this thing over here. Because of Inside Out and some other movie on this ranking, Pete Docter is now the CCO of the studio, and he's handling it like a champ. Way better than John Stinkin' Lasseter ever did. Number 2, Wally. We're going back to the 2000s one last time for a tech-upgraded version of Beauty and the Beast. It is half rom-com and half environmental PSA. These two stories mix well together. The rom-com half is the good old riches and rags relationship with breathtaking visuals and a rare lack of dialogue, which is suitable for this pair of bots, and packed with heart that's 100% battery. The environmental PSA part is actually subtle by showing the benefits and consequences, rather than hammering it down the throats of audiences like Norm of the North or Cloudy Meatballs 2. Not to mention that this movie has the best looking animation in a 2000s movie, alongside Blue Sky's robots. Seriously, it's literally robots that have the best looking movies of that decade. And they're the ones whose visuals aged the best. That's because metal is better looking than fur. Wally and Eve are actual robots with functioning personalities, unlike other bots that are portrayed as average dudes. They highlight that you don't need verbal diarrhea to make an animated movie, or the romantic plot. Just some good written chemistry and a lot of heart, no pun intended. The other characters are also great, such as Otto being this threatening dictator, the captain being a determined leader wanting to take his species back to Earth to live, and two of the Axiom's passengers having their own romance, just as subtle as Wally and Eve's. This was my favorite Pixar movie during the 2010s, until I saw one movie in 2020 that changed my spark. Number 1, Soul. I already talked about this movie on my top 5 best animated films of 2020, and my top 20 favorite animated features, so let me give you a short reason why this is not only the best Pixar film, but also the best animated feature ever created. That, people, is the themes of life and dreams. This movie can inspire you to know that you should always have a reason to live. Whether it's following your dreams, being with friends and family, or enjoying stuff like food, drinks, music, television, social media, video games, books, comics, nature, and, of course, movies. No matter what brings you down and makes you suicidal, you try your best to both do something about it and make life worth it by enjoying the small things on Earth. Like Peter Parker says best, no matter how many times you get hit, you always find a way to get back up. You show up for yourself and your admirers. That moral is extremely powerful, especially for an animated movie. It is executed in such a magnificent way that makes the film feel more like a motivational PSA. Everything about this movie has what the title suggests. The story has soul. The comedy has soul. The heart has soul. The message especially has soul. The animation has soul. The performances have soul. The characters have soul, no pun intended. The dialogue has soul. And so forth. Get it? I know I talked more about what the movie says than what the movie is, but like I said, I talked about this movie in those videos I mentioned earlier. But this is what more animated movies should be. I'm not saying this should copy this movie's plot, I'm saying this should look at what this movie really did. It told a story that's original, engaging, heartwarming, heartbreaking, simple, and easy to follow, and it appealed to the true basics of who should watch animation. Any age. Not kids, not teens, not adults, but any age. I have seen a lot of great masterpieces of cartoon cinema, whether they be fully or partially animated, but Soul is a special kind of masterpiece that everyone should witness at least once to see what it can do to inspire them. And that's all I got for the first installment of Ranked. How did you guys like it? Remind me in the comments. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more stuff, including other renditions of this new series. This is Koizi, signing out.